What's up, everybody? We are back. This is Martin Anaya and California Film Foundation, Sacramento International Film Festival, and of course, streaming worldwide live on Pacific Coast Television. And I am here with my man, Mr. Eric Walker. Now, before I introduce this gentleman properly, I have to say that we're at Sinister Creature Con, and there's still plenty of time and plenty of reason for you to get your booty down here. So just Google it. Sinister Creature Con. You can get the ticket online if you want to, or just come on down here. They're very pleasant at the door. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of artists here. There's a lot of makeup artists, Academy Award winners over here. So you need to, if you care about anything that has to do with science fiction, fantasy, and especially horror and makeup, you've got to get down here. It's Sinister Creature Con, and it's going on live today only, Sunday. But again, to my directly to my left here, Mr. Eric Walker. Now, that name might sound familiar to you, and that face might look a little familiar to you. How many people within the sound of my voice remember the Ewok Adventures? Jordan over here does. Julie, I know Julie remembers the Ewok Adventures. Now, the actual name of the film, Eric, help me out, and you got to lift that up a little bit so they can hear you. Yep,
okay, sorry, yeah.
The actual name of the film?
The name of the film, George's name was Caravan of Courage.
So George being George Lucas. The Ewoks were, of course, for those people that maybe don't know, maybe we're talking to some youngsters that might not know, the Ewoks were, of course, the little bear-like creatures that were in Return of the Jedi. And in 1984, the year after Return of the Jedi, they released this film, Caravan of Courage. And you told me that this movie was literally the next Star Wars movie in the theaters.
Yes, overseas, it was billed as the next Star Wars. In fact, on the posters, it says Star Wars Presents. So, and we got, in my mind, we got cheated because it's always better to see a film with special effects like this in the movie theater.
I think so.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in the United States are going to remember the Ewok Adventure.
Well, yeah.
My God, we were sucking up anything Star Wars.
At that time, because Jedi just came out the year before, and the Ewoks were very popular.
Absolutely.
Now, and also, when the Ewok Adventure was on television, it was, if you remember, so that we could get it in stereo, it was simulcast in major markets on, like, the radio stations.
Yes.
Remember that? Like, in L.A., I'm from Los Angeles. It was on, like, KLOS. I don't know. But the major markets, so you could hear the music. Because Star Wars is about the music.
Absolutely.
And Peter Bernstein did the music for it. Who's Elmer Bernstein's son.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if you don't know who Elmer Bernstein is, then you're obviously not a big horror fan. But let me tell you, you could do a lot worse. Now, for those of us who like to go down memory lane, that movie had a sequel called The Battle for Endor. Is that right?
Yep, The Battle for Endor.
Now, that was, you said 85 it came out?
Yes, it was 85. It was basically a year, the next year, the same Sunday night. It was 1 year apart. It was on Thanksgiving weekend, that Sunday night movie. And
that one also was released all over the world in theaters.
Yes, it was, but it didn't have as big a release as the first movie.
Okay.
And that movie had a different name. It wasn't called The Battle for Endor. It was called Ewoks and Marauders of Endor overseas.
Ewoks and Marauders of Endor. Okay. Yeah. Any idea why the title changed? That's so rando.
Well, in the second movie, they have the Marauders that battle the Ewoks. So I guess that's why.
Maybe that played well in overseas markets.
I don't. And it was released by 20th Century Fox overseas, so it had that same fanfare. That dun da 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 da, and then the Lucasfilm logo, the green logo came up back then.
Now I've got this picture here from Caravan of Courage, the Ewok Adventure. And Jordan here, I don't know if you can put it up, but it's you. How old were you when you made these movies?
I was 14 when I made the first one, 15 when I made the second one.
And you're being directed by George Lucas.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize this, but George actually did all the
because he was not the credited director.
He was not. John Cordy is the credited director, and John Cordy did a beautiful job. He directed, it is his movie, but George did all the reshoots and the pickup shots. And as you know, being a filmmaker, everybody nowadays makes a big deal whenever they say they're doing reshoots on Star Wars.
Sure.
But they were doing that way back in the 80s. They do that all the time.
It's just, I don't think audiences were as savvy to it either by at that point.
They weren't. They have the media now, and it's like, oh, it's a disaster. No, it's common. It was common back in the 80s.
I don't think I can think of a big movie that doesn't do reshoots.
Yeah, right. Correct.
So George picked up the pickup shot. They also call them pickup shots, right? And reshoots. Now you're a 14-year-old getting directed by one of the top directors in the world at this point. What was that like? Did you have an idea for the gravity of it?
I think I knew a little bit about it. I mean, come on, Star Wars was the biggest.
You knew what Star Wars was for sure, absolutely.
And I had seen the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi like 15 times. I love that movie.
So you had a pretty good idea what you were walking into.
It was a pinch myself type of thing, sure.
I bet. So when you got, and so where's this set? Looks like Northern California, Redwoods.
That's in Roy's Redwoods, which is near Skywalker Ranch.
Okay.
Up there in Northern California.
So George was sleeping in his own bed that night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Good. Yeah. Good. Well, so what was that experience like? Tell me what it was like.
It was definitely different when George was on the set. Even when John Cordy was directing it, when George would still visit the set once a week. He was very involved in it.
Yeah.
And when he showed up, it's like suddenly the set's moving 100 miles an hour faster.
Oh, really? Because George,
I noticed that as a kid.
Really?
And so
what do you attribute that to? I mean, obviously
the boss
George
is on the set, and everybody wants to impress the boss.
Okay.
But I will tell you this: their styles as being directors were very different. John Cordy's more of an actor's director, which means he knows something about acting. He can help an actor in a scene because he knows how to, because he is an actor. He probably took acting lessons. And it was very obvious with John Cordy. In fact, he directed a lot of movies like The Autobiography of Miss Jane, a lot of movies. You have to look him up, but he's a well-known director. When George is more of a technical director, so he sets up a shot. He's real fast, real quick.
Well, he has to be spending his own money.
I don't know if it's that, but he knows what he wants, and it's obvious.
Yeah.
People joke, did he say faster and more intense? I don't remember, but he probably did. But he definitely knew. He definitely knew what he wanted. He's a genius. Obviously, he created Star Wars.
Well, but but also too, I looked at some of the behind. I've looked at probably everything from the actors from the original movies. And I think a lot of them, you had one benefit at least. Right. You had context of having seen the original movies.
That's true.
But I mean, can you imagine being Carrie Fisher or Mark Hamill? I probably think he sucked it all up. But I mean, one of the established actors, and you're just like, where am I? What's my motivation? What's going on?
That's true. So I had some, although it was difficult back then because we would do stuff at ILM. They had the big blue screen on the main stage, the biggest blue screen in the world. So you're sitting there acting and pretending like oh, the giant Gorax is right here. He's running after you. Run, scream. Oh, the fireflies are there, or Wisties, or what are they called?
Yeah.
So you had to pretend like all that stuff was there still. So that was difficult. But nowadays they're spoiled. You go on the Mandalorian set. I've never been on that set. So, if you guys want me to do a cameo, call me John Favreau or Dave Filoni. I don't mind jumping on there, but they're spoiled because they feel like they're in space. They feel like they're on that planet. Although I'll tell you, the costumes help. When I put that flight outfit, the orange flight, and I had all the gadgets. Mace had a lot of gadgets. He would be a great action figure because he had his blaster. He had this fire starter. He had a knife. So he had a lot of gadgets on his belt and everything. Cool character. So that helped you. You do that, and then you're in these redwood forests, so you feel like, well, maybe I am on a different planet.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm from Los Angeles, so I'm not used to being up in the redwoods. So that kind of made me.
Northern California has been described as a different kind of planet than SoCal. I mean,
okay. Well, it definitely is.
As a NorCal guy myself, I've heard that once or twice, and also as a big Giants fan.
Okay. But it's so we did have that benefit to answer your question, but it was still a lot of make believe. You had to have the magic of believing as actors. That's what we call it.
Make believe.
Pretend like you're there. Yeah.
That's why you're a professional. Yeah, my friend. That's why you're a professional. So you're here at the con today.
Yes.
And by the way, which is going to go till 7:00 tonight, folks. So if you want to meet Eric, if you want to meet all of these wonderful people, and I'm telling you, there's all kinds of stuff going on over here. You've got to
I know you can hear it.
You can hear it. You got to get your booty down here. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to, you still got time. You can get one of these wonderful prints, and maybe he'll even sign it for you. Is that a thing?
Of course.
And,
you have to sign it.
Got to. That's
the
part
law.
of the deal. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, you got to get down here and have yourself a good time. It's Sinister Creature Con. We're here in Roseville, and look it up, Google it. Come on, you've got the technology, you know what to do. But I'll tell you what, if aside from doing these various conventions and so forth, what for these days? Are you still a working actor, and do you still do a lot of stuff, or are you just like enjoying coming out to the cons?
Well, I don't do too many cons because I actually have a business. I own a window company, so I'm involved in that day to day. My passion.
I need to call you up.
Yeah, if you need new windows, right? But my passion, I kind of, I don't like to say the term retired from acting because I just said if they called me, I would do it. But my passion is my music, actually.
Really?
And I do electronic music. I have 3 albums out. I just released a new one. Yeah.
And
so
under
the name Eric Walker. So
Eric Walker.
I have 3 albums. It's ericwalkermusic.com.
Eric Walker Music. Eric with a C, y'all.
Right. And I have 3 albums out. If you guys like want to be ferried away, they're very atmospheric, kind of like Vangelis, Jean-Michel Jarre, Tangerine Dream. It's kind of like that style of music.
Now, you told me that when you were a kid, you were more of an athlete. You were like a ball player and stuff?
That's what got me into acting because I played baseball and I played on a Pop Warner football team, and that led to me doing a Jack in the Box commercial, which got me, wanting to be an actor because in '77 I made $300 and something a day, and I got to eat Jack in the Box. So who wouldn't?
Hey, man.
And I probably would have been I was really good at baseball, so I probably would have been if I had to quit baseball. I had to quit baseball for acting. Otherwise, I probably would have been a professional baseball player.
Well, so what I want to know is how did you get into the music, though?
Well, I went to the LA County High School for the Performing Arts in LA. It's or we call it Laksha, and I was in the first graduating class that went all the way through the system. Recently, other people like Josh Groban went there. Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, yeah.
I was in the class.
A lot of people.
Yeah, Anthony Anderson from Blackish. He was in my class. In fact, he acted in my student film I made there. So,
wow.
But yeah, it was like.
And you just got into the music side of it?
That's how I got into it because we would have like this extended lunch hour break, and I would go into the music department and I'd play on the piano. And I was in the theater department, but I had friends that were in the music department. I said, teach me how to play the piano because they knew how. And so I was learning from them, and I would go there and play an hour every day. And that's how my passion for music grew.
And did they have, I mean, at that time, I would think electronic music must have been in its infancy compared to what we're doing now.
I remember getting a keyboard. I mean, they still had keyboards. I had a Korg D50 back then, which is
yeah, because Duran was like 1981. So
right,
you and me were like looking at those keyboards, going, yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean now I have I can't draw on a blank right now, but yeah, I have the latest. I have a Rolly Seaboard keyboard, which is the one where it's rubber. So it's if you're playing an instrument, you really sound like you're playing a saxophone or a flute because you can play in between the notes. So
and a lot of music composers that compose for film and TV will do that. Right. And sometimes I can't tell the difference, man.
Nowadays, it's very hard.
Very
especially
difficult.
With that new Rolly Seaboard keyboard. And the Mandalorian, you want to talk about great music? I mean, that Ludwig is awesome.
I got to tell you, that Mandalorian soundtrack had to take time to grow on me because when I first started watching the show, I'm thinking like, hey, man, where's the symphonic? Where's the John Williams?
Right.
But when you realize, and this is what a great composer can do, right?
Right.
When you realize, no, they're painting a texture.
They are.
This is his culture. You know what I mean? This is his music. And then as the series progresses, no spoilers, but by now, if you don't know,
yeah, sure.
You must have been living in a cave, but still no spoilers. But as the show progressed, it got more and more symphonic.
It did
more like a Star Wars movie.
It did. And I did my own version of that theme, the Mandalorian theme. I never posted it yet, but I probably should. Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
ericwalkermusic.com.
Yes.
All right, man. Yeah. I'm gonna go after today. I'm gonna go check you out, man.
It's everywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you stream. If it's YouTube as well.
Fantastic. All right. So now, again, you were just a little guy of 13, 14 years old.
14 years old,
When you got into the Ewok adventure, a.k.a. Caravan of Courage.
Yes.
What was, in your mind, your favorite memory of working with George or just being a part of the Star Wars universe, man?
I mean, I have a lot of memories from working on those. I could sit here and talk for the next 2 hours because, I mean, it was quite an adventure. I mean, I had a great time working with George. I remember working on the set. You know, he was a great father. And his daughter, Amanda Lucas, would come to the set. And she didn't realize you can't talk in the middle of the takes. So she would start asking me questions like, you know, I would take the rock. You remember how Mace didn't like that rock and he threw it away? So she would say, why is it a stupid rock, Eric? You know, and so there was funny little moments like that. And, you know, you stay in
just
character.
Like ruining takes.
It was okay, though. It was funny. It was funny, though.
Hey, man, that's the director's daughter. Okay, she got away with it, all right?
Yeah. So,
anybody else, and who knows what would happen.
But little things like that are little pranks that some of the crew members would do with each other. Some of that stuff it stays on the set. You know, you don't want to tell everybody.
Is there much of a fraternity with a lot of the guys that worked on, the gals that worked on?
Oh, sure. I mean, they all worked on Jedi. So the entire crew was the same people that worked on Star Wars: Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
So of course, yeah.
But I mean, to this day, do you ever get to see any of these people ever? Or
I mean, for a couple of years after the movie, I would go to like the Lucasfilm annual picnic and stuff like that.
Okay.
And George also, without me asking, I know Warwick Davis used to ask him for Star Wars toys.
Yeah.
But for a couple of years, George sent me toys for Christmas, which was nice. Which is a nice thing.
And come to think of it, talking about his generosity. So, Pacific Coast TV is based in Pacifica.
Okay.
And we've had a relationship with Lucasfilm for years.
Right.
We do an annual fundraiser because it's a nonprofit.
Right.
And oh man, and I'm horrible. I'm drawing a blank on her name, but his secretary for years would send us these little like C3. Oh, isn't that horrible? Oh my god! But she would send us these little C3PO maquettes.
Yes.
And sometimes R2D2, and these things were like retail. They were like $400 or $500 item, you know. And then with the added value of like the collectors. I mean, no idea. But
I'm trying to remember her name. Like, was it Patty or I'm trying to remember her name.
Man, I'll tell you what, Patty.
If that was her name.
If that's your name.
I remember
my
I spoke
apologies.
to her a lot because you call up there and you would always speak
absolutely.
To her.
You got right through to her. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the great thing. The people at Lucasfilm are great people.
That's it. Right? That's it. They were all really kind, really thoughtful people. Sure. And the antithesis, I think, of a lot of what we come to think of or regard as Hollywood, right?
They're not. They're like the opposite of Hollywood. Yeah.
So which makes your point that Northern California is on another planet.
Good segue, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Well, Eric, listen, man, you got autographs to sign today, and I could sit here and talk to you for the rest of today
sure.
and deprive all of these folks. But listen, do yourself a favor, come out here, see Eric, see all these other wonderful, wonderful guests, all kinds of artisans. Hey, you might get some Halloween ideas. I'm just saying, Sinister Creature Con, it can happen. But again, Marty and I, California Film, and again, Sacramento International Film Festival, streaming worldwide on PacificCoast.tv. Want to thank you, Eric, for being our wonderful guest this afternoon. And hey, man, whatever you do next, man, if it's music, acting, whatever, man, enjoy it.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe I'll
come on down, guys.
Maybe I'll hit you up on my my Windows, brother.
Sure. Hit me up on Windows if you're making movies too. I wouldn't mind composing anybody out there. So yeah.
You know what, dude? That's what I want to talk to you about. We'll talk about it off camera. We got to go. Talk to you soon. Stay tuned. We're going to be back with more exciting stuff. Sinister Creature Con. Stay right there.